What's up, creepers and geekers? Chris, the Atari Creep. How is everyone doing today? You know, let's talk about nostalgia a little bit. I mean, I'm going to talk about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe mainly. But before we do that, I need to talk about nostalgia. It's kind of a funny thing how your brain works as far as, you know, what you're nostalgic for, you know? I was a Star Wars guy. I don't want to say I wanted nothing to do with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, but I did develop a small hatred towards him. You have a fucking problem with that? Man. You know, growing up, I was like I said, a huge Star Wars guy. I had a shitload of Star Wars figures and vehicles and action sets and underoos. Yeah, I wish I still had underoos, but I had a lot of Star Wars stuff. I never had any He-Man or the Masters of the Universe. Never did. Going back to the whole, you know, going back to talking about nostalgia and how nostalgia works. Not having He-Man, the Masters of the Universe, but having a ton of Star Wars. You would think I'd be a Star Wars nostalgic guy, and I am to a point. But in all honesty, I have zero desire to collect for the figures. Now, if I find them cheap, or by accident, or in a lot somewhere, of course I'm going to grab them. Especially the vehicles. I love the original AT-AT. I think the newer one that I have is a nicer looking. Oh, I'm getting smoke everywhere. And I think the new Millennium Falcon is so much nicer looking, and it leads to a lot of really great modifications. But I really have no desire to go out and pick up any Star Wars stuff from my youth. Maybe Stormtroopers, but they're kind of expensive right now. However, if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, any of the social media, get the fuck out of my way. Any of the other social media outlets, you know I've been on a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe frenzy. I've been picking them up left and right since Valentine's Day of this year. And it all started by accident. How crazy is that? I guarantee if I found the original Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker figure from my childhood, I would not be on the fucking hunt for them. It would just be like, cool, I have these. I'm going to get a little stand for them for the little peg feet, you know? And they go on the shelf. And again, if I came across any more, then I came across more. And if not, fuck it, whatever, right? But I came across this one He-Man figure for $5. Just $5, you know? And He-Man's cool. He-Man is the epitome of fucking cool. So I couldn't pass it up. I was like, I'm going to just get him, put him on my shelf, maybe find a Skeletor or something. And that's really all there is to it. So I bring this fucking thing home. And a couple of days later, the same guy, I finish my butt out here and I'm going to go inside and have a coffee, right? Then a couple of days later, the same guy posted another lot of action figures for like 12 or 15 bucks. It was probably like, I don't know, 12, 15 figures. So I messaged him saying, hey, look, I'm interested in just the Master of the Universe ones. He had 3 of them. It was Mantenna. Fuck, I don't even remember. I just remember Mantenna was in that lot. And I said, you know, based on how much you want for all of it, can we just do $5 for the 3 of them? Thinking he was going to tell me to go fuck myself, you know? He's like, you just bought $5 for one. But he was like, yeah, come on by. So a couple days later, I went by his house again and picked him up. And then all of a sudden, it just started snowballing. And I can only assume that it has to do with nostalgia. Nostalgia for something I never had. Now, I know there's a form of nostalgia where people are picking up the things that they couldn't have as a kid, but I don't think it's that at all. I think I'm going back to my childhood saying how much... You know, let's talk about it here when we get in the house. Hold on a second. You know, ironically, I can remember... Oh, I gotta turn the thing on, don't I? No power, no coffee. I can remember the first time I ever seen a He-Man figure. We're at a friend's house. My dad was a minister. And let me sit down here and perch you on this thing. I bet you it's going to screw it all up. I'm going to end up redoing all this. All right. So my dad was a minister, and we were constantly over other people's houses. And for whatever, Bible studies or whatever. In this case, it was more of a fellowship thing. Actually, I think it was a holiday party. And their daughter lived there, and she had her son. He was about a year or two younger than me. And this kid had everything. It was the first time I ever saw an NES. He had the whole setup with Rob, and I remember going, wow, that's pretty cool, until I played with Rob. And then realized real quickly how lame he was. But we're going through his toy box, and I pull out this guy. This guy. Yeah, I always have a He-Man figure with me wherever I go. And it blew my mind. I was so used to what I call now the corpse figures, you know, the 3 3/4, 5 points of articulation, just constantly stiff. And you can understand, I loved my Star Wars stuff. I loved it. I had a ton of it. And that's part of the reason, you know, why I didn't have any of these guys. And we'll get to that. But I had a ton of Star Wars figures. I had a whole bunch of the vehicles, especially the AT-AT and the Millennium Falcon. And I would take Polaroids of them and all kinds of stuff. It was pretty cool, you know. Action figure art, photography is a thing now, and it's amazing. If you're not on Instagram, or if you are, look for it. It's friggin' amazing stuff out there. But I remember seeing the He-Man figure, and then he pulled out a couple more. He had like Man-E-Faces and Man-at-Arms, and just a handful of other ones. And then he pulled out Skeletor. Now, I will admit, the first time I saw Skeletor, I was like, that's fucking stupid. It's a skull on a muscle-bound flesh body. That's weird. But the more I got to play with them, the more I was like, this is the figure I've always wanted. It's the Grim fucking Reaper. So we played with them all night long. We had Castle Grayskull, and my little 6-year-old fucking brain was just exploding, and I had a little chub. And then we eventually had to leave, and I wept. I was sad. No more He-Man for Chris. So eventually we would end up in a toy store. And around here, the big one was Child World. It was fucking huge. It's now a Bed Bath & Beyond, sadly. And we would end up walking through there for, in this case, it was probably for a birthday gift for somebody else. And coffee's almost done. Yay. And I would make my way to the action figure section. And there they were on their beautiful blue and red cards, just looking mammoth and just burly and just awesome, looking awesome. It's like, hey, Ma, you know, He-Man. No, you got too many toys already, young man. We can't spoil you. I'm like, but Ma. And she's like, but no. So I threw a temper fucking tantrum. I'm sure I got beat up for it. You know, I mean, my parents didn't beat me, but we got spankings back in the day. Remember those things? Spankings? The things that taught kids on how not to be a fucking douchebag in life? I don't advocate for hitting your kids, by the way. Let's go get my coffee. So, I never got them. Too many toys. Parents didn't want to spend the money. I mean, my dad was also in sales. He was a VP for a trucking company. Let me put you down right there. So, it was feast or famine in my house. So, it was like sometimes I had the money, sometimes I didn't. But long story short, I never got them. So, I developed this deep-seated hatred for them, where secretly I was in love with the toy line. Get some milk. Get some milk. We're going to put some milk in this. People would bring up He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I'd be like, I got my Star Wars stuff. He-Man's stupid. Look at it. He's got nipples. Who wants a toy with nipples on it? Secretly, this guy did. So for years and years and years, with the exception of enjoying the cartoon every fucking day and driving my parents nuts listening to He-Man, I never had the figure. So over the years, I would develop this distaste for him, this disdain. People would be like, oh, let's play He-Man, but fuck He-Man. And it was more so because I was jealous, you know? When you get jealous of girls later on in life, I was jealous of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe toys. So, going back to nostalgia, you would think with the Star Wars stuff, I'd be super nostalgic for it, but I'm not. And that's the point I guess I'm trying to make, how odd nostalgia can work in your brain, the psyche, the chemicals that flow through that freaking sponge that you have up there, your biological computer, if you will. And I pick up this one guy, and then all of a sudden, I'm super nostalgic for something I never had. So I have a nice collection now. I think I have like 11 or so of them. I got 3 more coming I'm doing a trade for. I've been picking them up here and there. I've been pretty lucky. I don't think I paid more than $5 for a single one of them. Minus, a couple of them shipping. I don't count that because you got to get it to you somehow, right? But yeah, I've been pretty lucky given what the prices are out there on these. And they've all been in really nice shape. Every single one of them stand up. Matter of fact, I picked up Whiplash yesterday. I didn't pick him up. He got delivered to me, along with another T800, a Kenner figure. And his legs are tight as fuck. He stands up perfectly. Even if he didn't have his tail, he would still stand up. I don't have his staff, but regardless, I've been collecting them. I got 3 more coming. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a scheduled set of videos. Every Monday, I'm going to parade in front of you one of my Masters of the Universe figures. We'll call it Masters of the Universe Monday. Our original, right? And I won't do necessarily a review, though. I'll be reviewing it in my own personal way. It'll be more of a retrospect. It'll be like, hey, look at this. I'm not going to sit there and go, okay, so we have the arms. They go up and down, and the heads do the exorcist thing. No, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to put it in front of the camera, and I'm going to give you my personal feelings, thoughts on the figure themselves, maybe what I would do differently with them, whatever comes to mind when I have it in front of me or in front of you. So I think I'm going to start doing that. I might even record one episode right after I upload this one and just have it scheduled. Maybe I'll do a whole bunch of them. That way I don't get behind because it's so easy for me to do. But that's really all I wanted to say. Just talk about nostalgia and how weird it can be. How you would think you'd be nostalgic for one thing that you actually did have, and you turn out to be more nostalgic for other things. So do you have anything similar to that? Did you have a whole group of toys when you were a kid that you absolutely loved? I slept with some of these things. Not like that, you sick fuck. Like, they would be in my bed when they were hanging out with me. I slept with Luke Skywalker. I'm not too proud of that. But do you have anything like that like you never really collected as a kid? Maybe it is more of a I want it now because I never had it then. But this was like an afterthought. I got him and it just snowballed. And now I'm like Masters of the Universe crazy. I'm even sculpting stuff. My Etsy store is open. I'll put a link at the end of this. It'll be like one of those little bubbles that you can click on. Go check it out. I'm actually thinking about sculpting on a couple of Masters of the Universe-esque mashup toys here in the future, along with my regular line of macabre minis. So let me know down below. Is there something that you never had as a kid that you've been heavily nostalgic for lately versus something that you've had tons of growing up? And I had a lot of amazing memories. It's not that I hate my Star Wars toys. I just don't have any desire to pick them up again. I don't know why. But these things that I never had, do you have something similar to that? Go ahead and leave it down below in the comments. Go ahead and leave all kinds of feedback. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Feedback to me is positive no matter what, guys. Hope you're having a great day. And until next time, guys, take care.